so much for being here, Ty. How we doing?
Doing well. You're right. It's certainly been a roller coaster of a day, and I just love that all this Giannis stuff, which I'm sure we'll get to, swirling. And I saw so many people post like the funniest outcome, right, is they just go and rinse the Pistons, and they didn't rinse them, but beating the number one team in the East with like whatever 3 minutes or whatever it was of Giannis. Like I think that probably qualifies. You know what? I'm a simple person. The last thing I saw is what I'll probably think about the most, and it was a great Bucks win. So I'll say I'm doing well. All that to say I'm doing well. Thank you.
Tommy, I immediately pictured, I think it's Charlie from It's Always Sunny.
Yep.
Having that just stressed out of his mind with all of the red string.
Who the heck is Pepe Sylvia?
That's exactly what I was picturing of the last 36 hours for Ty Windisch as all that is going on. So I really appreciate you taking some time this morning, Ty, to join us. All right, we've kind of laid out everything that's happened through this. It started with Giannis scrubs' social media. Then Windisch goes on a Cleveland ESPN radio show. I still don't understand why it was there, and that story comes out, audio of him saying, I don't know why anyone's surprised. He requested the trade during the summer. Then Shams reports, hey, Giannis and his agent are talking to the Bucks. They're trying to have a conversation to figure out what's happening next. Then Doc comes out before the game last night, denies all of it, says this is the same as it's always been. Giannis has never requested a trade. And then Giannis, 3 minutes into the game last night, goes down with an injury, and that takes us to here. My biggest question for you as you're going through this is, at what point, if at all, during that saga, did you go, oh boy, this is different? This might actually happen.
The Shams report, I think, because listen, and I think the Knicks stuff I don't think was fake over the summer either. I don't know if it was a trade request or not. I don't think Shams has touched that, and that was his report initially. Windisch said it on ESPN Cleveland just because he's a Cleveland guy, by the way. I think he just has like a standing weekly spot there. There'll be random Windisch news dumps from that station all the time. Just an Ohio kid. Just a kid from Akron. Just one of, not the most notable one, but one of them.
Him and Braun.
Those are the two.
Yep. 1-2 punch.
Yep. But the Shams report about the meeting, it just feels like, okay, after that ugly loss, I don't think they're having a meeting to say, like, we think everything is going great. I don't know if that requires a meeting. It's like, we're really optimistic about the way things are going. I brought my agent because he thinks so too. So at that point, it was kind of like, oh boy, like, let's start looking at trade machine stuff and everything else. And I think it's great what Doc said, what he said. Honestly, he's so radically candor generally that I was kind of worried he was going to be like, we just got off the phone with San Antonio. Like, you never know what Doc's going to say. Doc on a random summer league broadcast is like, yeah, Chris Middleton had double ankle surgery. Everyone's like, what? Yeah. So thankfully Doc's like, no, it's not real, which is great. But we have to hear from Giannis, and now we won't. And that's like, I'm not, is it fake? It's not fake. It's a real injury. Hopefully it's not as bad as it could be. It sounds like it isn't from what we've heard after the game, but we'll find out. But you don't speak when you're injured. So I don't know. I mean, I think the injury probably puts the whole trade thing on ice, if I had to guess. But I definitely thought it was real, and it's definitely a bizarre spot right now. But really glad the team, was able to really come together. They had a players meeting, it seems, and, just said, you know what, let's just go play good ball regardless of all this stuff.
Yeah. All right. Ty Windisch joining us from the Eurostep podcast here on Inside Wisconsin Sports. Let's talk about the game yesterday then, Ty, because it was a pretty exciting game and a great closeout. It's something that it feels like the Bucks are down 78-72 in the third quarter with 4 minutes left in every single game they play. Like, they are always right in it. And then the fourth quarter collapse and the third quarter is always there. Well, the Bucks close out. I believe they were on a 10-0 run, and then the free throw, I think, made it a 10-1 run at the end of the game. KPJ back into swing of things now after returning from his injury. Ryan Rollins obviously knew his volume was going to go up with Giannis going down. With Giannis going on the injured list or being injured, now what changes for this Bucks team as far as expectations go? Do they have to remain competitive during this time while he is mulling his options? Or is Giannis understanding that, yeah, this team isn't really competitive if I'm not on the court?
Yeah, that's going to be the interesting thing. Obviously, they weren't competitive for the stretch he missed. And that was, I think, some of the reasoning for this whole meeting or whatever, proposed meeting, intention for a meeting. I don't want to say something incorrect here. All the reports are worded strangely, I think, in a way. But
yes, I agree.
it's all it's not as simple as it used to be. It used to be you request a trade or you don't. Now it's like, let's talk. The two words that everyone fears in a relationship. That's what the Bucks and Giannis apparently maybe are doing. But I think the expectation should be higher now. I think honestly they played below expectation on that stretch anyway, and they were right there. Obviously going to overtime with Philly. I thought that Portland game was winnable. They were right there against Miami, and none of those games went their way. But now the fact that you do have Kevin Porter Jr. back, I do think that's a big deal. And going from Cole Anthony, who had a pretty good start to the year, but then looked to be just sabotaging the Bucks in his minutes. I don't think purposefully, but it just wasn't going well at all, especially over that stretch with no Giannis and no KPJ. To now, Rollins and KPJ being the guards for 48 minutes a night. Those guys combined for what, almost 50 points and 16 assists last night? I mean, now suddenly you have an offense. Jericho Sims is giving you more defensively, and I think we're going to see a lot more of him without Giannis based on that career high last night. I think the expectation should be tread water, depending on how long he's out, right? If it's the worst case, then I think the expectation is we'll all be rooting for lottery balls next spring. But if it's just going to be a matter of weeks, I mean, I think they're going to try and just hang in there and just not be as embarrassing as last time.
I want to know, Ty, if Giannis was to be traded, if the rumors are true and this happens, kind of a two-parter. First, do you have any faith in this team, especially after the way they kind of came together without him last night and took care of the Pistons? Not a lot, but they won the game. And the second part to that is there any trade package that makes you feel satisfied of going, okay, that's good enough, let's move on from Giannis?
I mean, I would never want to trade him. If you didn't have to, I would never be like, all right, now with the timing and injuries and stuff, I would do it. I mean, I'd ride it out with him. But, if in the scenario, right, where he's like, again, let's talk, and it's like, oh, it's probably not good. Haven't done the dishes in 6 months. I think they noticed. I think Atlanta is the team that I really look at because that trade they made with New Orleans last draft. So the Bucks get the worst half of their pick and the Pelicans pick. Atlanta has the other half, and the Pelicans are worst in the Western Conference. So Atlanta, to start a deal, and this isn't going to be the only thing, you might get Trae Young. You might send Trae Young somewhere else, whatever it is. But they can make it so the Bucks now are picking for Milwaukee and for New Orleans in this upcoming draft, which is a loaded draft class. 3 guys who I saw, Sam Vecini of The Athletic, I think the best draft expert out there, said 3 guys on the level of where he graded Cooper Flagg last year. So 3 potential franchise players. And now you're looking at 2 lottery balls in that. And the New Orleans one looks like it's going to be, again, right now, it's literally would be the first pick without a lottery. So that's how bad they've been.
I mean, that just feels like the Bucks get pick 4 and 5 in a
right?
draft.
Yeah,
I know.
exactly.
Probably.
Exactly.
It would just fall that way if it happened. But Ty, talking about the Bucks and trades with Giannis and where he could go, do you think the Pfizer Forum would burn down if Trae Young was the return for Giannis Antetokounmpo? Because I get it, they have picks, but we were looking at a couple of them, and this ESPN article that came out 6:00 this morning, they have a potential trade here, and I'll read it to you. It's the Hawks getting Giannis and Cole Anthony, and in return, the Bucks get Trae Young, Richesse, and 4 first-round picks. If that's a deal that comes across your table, do you take the phone call? Do you say, oh my gosh, yes? Or is that not even close to the type of package you could see coming back in return?
I think that's going to be along the lines of the package. I think everyone wants OKC to send, J-Dub and their million picks, but OKC has won 20 of their first 21 games. They're not trading for anybody. They don't have to. So
yeah, they're good.
You take the super suitor out, and suddenly I think it's a lot of teams that have interesting stuff, but it's not going to be 10 first-round picks or anything like that. And I think that's just the unfortunate reality. I know everyone wants to say, well, Mikal Bridges went for 5 and Giannis should go for 12, but teams don't have 12. I mean, the general rule for these things is like you find a destination where the player's on board enough, and they give you a nice player, maybe a couple, and then just all whatever they have, right? And that's the teams don't have infinite. You can't borrow against the bank here. Like, you just kind of take what's there. So if you're getting those premium picks from Atlanta, they also have the worst of Bucks Pels, top 4 protected next year. So you could kind of get another one of your own drafts back. And you get Trae Young, which maybe you send him somewhere else. I've seen a deal where like you send Trae Young to New Orleans and get Zion. I don't know if that excites people more or less. I mean, a better fit with the roster. A better fit with the roster.
We're gonna have cap strain talks after every game if Zion.
No thanks.
Yeah.
I want to know, Ty, do you think that this saga, the way that things have gone so far, whether this ends in the next 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years, whatever it is, does this get ugly? I think that a lot of people, I know myself, I've been preparing myself for years for the day when Giannis is no longer a Buck. I am not someone that believed that he's going to finish his career here. I think it would be amazing, but I've been setting myself up to be prepared for that train coming, and it's going to hurt. But is it going to get ugly? Is it going to get to the point in which, if Horst says, no, we didn't get anything good enough for us to want to move on from Giannis, and Giannis gets more frustrated, do you see any chance that this plays out in a way that almost, I hate to say it, tarnishes Giannis's legacy in Milwaukee?
I think it might feel like that in the moment, but I think long term, I don't think it ever get that ugly. I really do think Giannis is just not going to be the guy who, gives the one team list and then makes it happen. I mean, it sounded like in that Shams article from yesterday, New York wasn't the exclusive team that was thrown in there at some point, which I think is good because they really don't have the stuff. If you don't like the Hawks package, Karl Anthony Towns and 4 second-round picks is not going to do much for you either. I don't think. So I think it really depends though on, does he want to go to one team? Does he just want to go win somewhere? Because if he just wants to go win somewhere, I think this can be executed in a way that makes everyone happy enough. I think there's enough good teams with stuff that is, again, you're never going to feel like, wow, we got great value for Giannis Antetokounmpo, one of the best 3 players in the league. But, it's like, okay, this is the way these trades work. We got some stuff back. I really do think, though, like, if this injury knocks him out long enough to where the deadline thing isn't as in play, and maybe it doesn't, hopefully it doesn't, maybe it's like 6 weeks. I mean, he had the similar thing in March and this against the Celtics and then missed the whole playoffs and wouldn't have been ready even for, I think, weeks after that. So we don't know what it is. There is no timetable to be clear, but just using a past thing. Maybe the trade deadline's out, and then next summer, I think the Bucks probably have a first round pick of some sort, whether they trade it or use it. They have more time to build a more sensible roster. I mean, can they win him over again? I do kind of feel like every time Giannis is like, maybe I'll go, and the Bucks and John Horst are just really good at talking him into like, you can win with Ryan Rollins. And part of Giannis is like, you know what? I can. I just got a bronze medal with the Greek team. I can win with Ryan Rollins after all. And maybe that will happen again. I don't know, but the rubber will hit the road probably next summer one way or another because they're going to want to see that extension. He'll only have that year and a player option left on his deal.
Ty Windisch, Eurostep Podcast, joining us here on Inside Wisconsin Sports. Ty, let's talk about this Bucks team and try to remove Giannis a little more. They got the Sixers tomorrow. They got the Pistons again on Saturday. I've actually kind of, I never thought I would say this. I've almost enjoyed watching Kyle Kuzma play in some minutes this year, and he's really kind of been in this great value version of Giannis Antetokounmpo whenever he's on the court. Bobby Portis also gets more minutes, which everyone shields their eyes when that happens. But KPJ and Ryan Rollins are kind of a fun duo. They push the pace. Everyone's excited for that. First question, who's going to get a rebound on this team now that Giannis isn't playing? And again, how do you like their chances now with tomorrow after they have all this big emotional win, as emotional as it can get before Christmas in the NBA with all the Giannis drama going on? What do you think the game plan becomes now to take on Philadelphia, who we just mentioned? They played close last time they played without the Greek Freak.
Yeah, I think the chances are pretty good against Philly, who has their own injury problems always with their key players, and I think has really cooled off after that red hot start. Tyrese Maxey is a phenomenal player. The Bucks now have 48 minutes of Rollins KPJ to throw at him, which should help. I mean, I'm not saying they're going to clamp him by any means, but those guys had good success against Cade Cunningham last night, who was definitely one of the best guards in the Eastern Conference. To your question about the rebounding, and on the other end too, Maxey not a great defender. I think again having Rollins and KPJ for the whole game should keep the Bucks offense moving when we just saw these ugly, ugly stalls in the non-Giannis tenure last time, or stint, I should say. For the rebounding, it's going to be Jericho Sims. I mean, he basically played the whole fourth quarter over Miles Turner, sometimes with Bobby Portis, and he had 14 rebounds, which I would guess Miles Turner has not done that all season. I think Turner should play more, and Doc I don't totally agree with that decision, we'll say, but Doc is clearly in on Sims because he does the defense, he does the rebounding, the things that this Bucks team, frankly, has really struggled with. If I had to bet, I would bet that we see the starting lineup for tomorrow night's game is KPJ, Rollins, Green, Sims, Turner, probably, which he did try that group without KPJ against Portland and didn't work. Portland really just trapped and hounded Rollins, and there was no other ball handlers. But now that they have Kevin Porter Jr., I think Doc is going to continue to give that group looks, just trying to say, can we have one guy kind of not as good, but kind of like a new age Dennis Rodman? Like all he does out there is dunk, rebound, and defend. And maybe we just need a player who's so far in that direction because the rest of our team is not doing those things.
Yeah, you got to think that that's the first game Jericho Sims has ever been a part of that his team won and he played 30 minutes. Like I feel like that's got to be.
Tommy, big Jericho Sims fan.
I mean, he is bull in a china shop every time he's out there. I love the effort. I love the athleticism. But like, let's be real. We were like, hey, career high yesterday, and he had 14 points, right, or 15 points. So I think that Jericho Sims, like, as much as the Bucks need that type of player, he's not quite as controlled as I would like him to be when he is out there. And he can jump out of the gym. His athleticism makes him an NBA player, no doubt. But I'm worried about some of his intangibles if he's getting 30 minutes a night.
Yeah, I mean, it was great to just see him catch the ball all the time. I think that's been one of his biggest problems was just catching and catching and then just taking it to the rim right away. I mean, it's literally the new age version of their Andre Jackson Jr. thing of like, this guy does not have all the tools you'd want to see in a starter on an NBA team, but he fills in the gaps they need, except Jericho's bigger and less behind the back passes. And now, listen, if he can catch the ball and just try to dunk it every single time on offense, if he's around the rim, I think that's all they need from him. He hadn't done that consistently enough. Last night was a step in the right direction, and we'll see, if he can continue to handle more or not. I liked him as a limited backup. This is a huge role, but Doc, we've seen, is just going to try and roll with what's working, especially down a player like Giannis.
He is Ty Windisch of the Eurostep podcast, joining us on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. Thanks so much, Ty, for joining us today. I'm praying for you and you being able to get some sleep. It's going to be a crazy time. Anyone that wants to be following up-to-minute information and great insight on what's happening with the Bucks and Giannis going forward should make sure to get the Eurostep podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks so much, Ty, for joining us. And hopefully we can have you on again soon.
Anytime. Thanks so much for having me, fellas.